Start record.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, welcome everyone to the October 29th meeting of the Harwich Housing Committee. We have a quorum with me, Matt, and Art.
Thank you.
If anybody else is taping this meeting, please let me know. Okay. The first thing we could discuss while Larry's trying to figure out anyway is we need to put someone on the CPC. It's been vacant for a long time. The Community Preservation Committee. Do you have any interest? You probably.
I've experienced.
Do you want to do it or?
I don't know, what is it? I don't know what it is, to be honest.
It's the Community Preservation Committee. They're the ones that give out the money to grants and stuff. I don't know how long. I guess it's a yearly term, or
In a while. 20 years?
no? I mean,
Oh, how long
is
has
it
it been?
if you get appointed, is it a yearly term or 2 or 3?
I think it's a standard, the standard terms are, I believe,
3
3 years, like all communities.
All right.
But it depends on where you come in,
Right. Oh, right.
on the opening.
Right.
Where is it opening?
Okay, well, Matt, do you have any problems with letting Art do it for now? Because he's really wanted to do it.
No.
Well, thank you for the
still-
nomination.
All right, I nominate Art. Second, all those in favor?
accept.
Aye. Okay. So I'll have to find out if I send a letter or do you?
No, I think you have to send, under the chair's signature, it would have to go to the select board.
Okay. I will do that then. And now, Brianna is not on
Oh, no? Oh.
either. Maybe we'll put that aside on the off chance
Okay.
she can jump on. It might be bath time or something for the children.
Can you hear me now?
Yay! Perfect timing.
I'm struggling with my mic's on my, I don't know what's going on, but on my computer, so this is on an iPad.
Well, we can hear your dulcet tones now.
Okay.
So, what do you want to tell us?
Well, as you know, Liz, we've been going on in the support for Pine Oaks, and I think on Monday night, it got a little confusing, and because Julie brought it to the board of select board, which isn't necessary. She's one voted on the trust.
Right.
And there was some confusion, and I tried to get on, but it would have been a form that I had on Monday night, because they were worried about who was going to sign it. Well, I signed it as chair of the trust
Right.
after we voted on it. And so, we're still going to, I feel comfortable the rest of it. I'm not exactly sure what Julie ended up on, but I think the rest of our trust is some support.
Good.
I think, Liz, you asked about the letter. Told put out, I put in a few more details regarding your traffic study.
Uh-huh.
And Brendan suggested that really revised and take some of that out. And that seemed to make others a little more comfortable. The reason I did that was I realized more work needs to be done, but I wanted to give Mid-Cape credit for doing the work they have
Right.
going into that. That they're bringing a lot to the plate, and I want to be sure that that we acknowledge that. I think we're still okay, and as we all know, we're going to need to some process going forward. But it's kind of interesting. I know I've talked to others about the traffic study, for instance, and to me, that's the big red herring, because we know it's going to be increased traffic, but argue whether it's going to be, 100 cars or 120 cars. It's always a discussion, but it's not very meaningful.
No.
solutions going forward. I know Michael last time was interested, he didn't like the letter because it was too much of a sales job. Well,
That's
it
true.
is, because it's a letter, by definition, it's a letter to support the project. But it's going to be a tough sell. We need to all get together and, you know, because they're very vocal, the people against it, they've been writing us individual emails. And from their Pine Oaks perspective, they're kind of stuck on this because they need to do that many units to do full sorting, which is very expensive.
Right.
And unless they do that, the economics doesn't work.
Now,
Well, I don't know what happened. Just one other comment. I'm not sure people understand, not everyone at least, that there are two options, and you know this. You know, they can go this this zip process, which brings in town control. Or the issue is they could skip the town and go to the 340B.
right.
Which pretty much takes, except for the ZBA, it takes the town out of their law. But it's going to be hard to sell if the board or the select board doesn't support it. I'm not sure I don't know where the full board is.
Well, I mean, there's a third option that Pine Oaks could also do that I wish people would think about, which is they could throw their hands up and sell that to Bill Marsh or Stop and Shop.
Exactly.
You know.
I'm not sure people realize that. I talked to Bob Dole today, and they just got confirmation, you know, the discussion was because they actually own all the parcels.
Oh, good.
And they just got confirmation today on one of the parcels, and I guess it's slightly questionable that that's now set.
Great.
So that does change the scenario to what you can say. If they allow, Marsh could take it over and build what they don't like, you know,
Right.
put your mansions in there.
Which nobody seems to complain about traffic when those go up.
Yeah, right.
And the other thing that I've noticed about the traffic complaints is the people that are complaining about traffic are talking about how god-awful that road is now. So, to my way of thinking, it should probably be dealt with anyway, so I don't, why don't we use this as an excuse to deal with it? If this goes through, the state will pay for access roads and things. You can get grants for that.
Yeah, no, that's certainly true. We should be doing it now. Although, I'm on that road a lot because, these are the dump, right? And in the summer, it does back up from 124, but, okay, so I went 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, right. We're not talking I-93 at rush hour.
Exactly. Exactly. But in any case, I don't know where they'll go on that, because it sounds like from Pine Oaks perspective, they don't feel they have a lot of legal requirements and so on.
Right. But
Because the upfront cost is going to be so great, what they have to do. And so I don't know where that discussion goes. They've been told that they can't hold public meetings and so on until the application's actually gone forward. So I'm not sure that's correct.
Huh. Find out about that.
But in any case, I'm hoping that our next meeting's been moved, by the way, from the Tuesday the 12th to Wednesday the 13th.
Okay.
We've been bumped by the select board because Monday's Veterans Day. So they'll meet on Tuesday, so they were bumped over to Wednesday.
Okay. Now, do you have anything, either of you, that you want to discuss with Larry?
Yeah, it's on your agenda, but and I'm not sure, is Brianna on as well?
Not yet, no. I'm hoping.
Because we've had some discussions, both the meetings that Bob Spencer and I talked about. As you know from last meeting that both Claudia and Bob were a little concerned that we were stepping away from our internal process, and I know Richard Wayshack believes that. And and fully use our IT and maybe trying to get, well, we might go back and more fully utilize that.
So you don't want the trust to have anything to do with the website?
Well, I think that, now I don't want to go that, from my perspective, I think that, well, let me just say directly, it'd be good if we had IT and these people put it together for us, and our process, make sure they get the proper information in a timely manner.
Right.
I think we desperately need that. I'm not sure any of us, well, let me say, if IT and the folks that are around could bring that to us and then let us provide information for housing in general, I think that's what I think.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, you've been working
So I
on
think we're
this.
fully involved, but I'm not sure.
Well, it's just, yeah, it's just like,
I don't think we need to be the technical expert.
Right.
yeah, having somebody that knows how to put it all together, get down to it, and really put it together, because it's like a job, you know, and somebody that can take all the information that all the people are giving them and put it in there and have time to do it, so it stays updated, or else it really
Right.
won't just work.
But where are we? I mean, we need to get it done,
The last-
built first before.
Well, that's- yeah, exactly.
We need a place to put said information.
The last thing that I heard was trying to find somebody to build it, using some of the money to have somebody build it, because it was too much for one person to get it really started.
Okay.
Somebody, like he's saying, from IT who can put it all together for us.
Right, and I mean, Sarah is our IT department
Right.
with help from the county, but
Because I agree with you, and I'm hoping that someone can put it together for us, because maintaining it's going to be a big job for us.
well, I think maintaining it is going to be the job of one, maybe two people. I mean, I would think it would be Brianna would have final say, and I could probably help her put stuff together, and then it would just be up to you guys to send in information. Hey, we were working on this week. Hey, we're doing that.
Well, that's my point exactly. It's going to take both of our committees, people committed to sending in information and updating it.
Right.
And then, as you say, if I prefer going to go to Brianna, then she put it into the, whatever, the format that we have available to us.
Right.
I think some of our discussion, when I talk especially the Bob, is concerned that maybe we kind of get too much into the development and technology. I think, Matt, you infer that maybe that's not where I know my expertise is not there. Obviously, I can't even get my microphone to work.
Well, yeah, it's like you're saying, it's a job to manage a website. So it really needs somebody like delegated to, who's gonna take all the information, put it together, and keep it updated.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people, I mean, and like for businesses, they pay decent money for someone to
Right.
manage websites and social medias. It's not just like, oh, let's forward the email to the website. You got to sit down and put in time to build it and keep it maintained.
And maybe if that's formatted, maybe the process is correctly done, maybe Brianna can do that in a fairly straightforward fashion.
That's what the hope is that we get a user-friendly website that, we can collect our data, send it to Brianna, and she'd need an hour to go through it and put it up.
Yeah, it's like getting it made and having it takes a while. I've done it, tried to do it for myself for real estate, and I've hired people out because it's just a lot.
Okay.
To sit down and really like putting it together is a lot, but I mean updating it from there just takes somebody who's gonna do it. But really, the initial startup is it takes some time.
Okay. I mean,
So will you talk to Sarah and see what she can put together for us and Brianna? Get that on the technology side, maybe. And we do have some money in the trust we can spend toward that.
okay.
Yeah, I'd say try to see if somebody, either Sarah or Brianna, or if she can build it and then have Brianna edit it,
Right.
or if they just have to hire out to have somebody put it together, give them the details to log in, and then edit it from there.
That makes sense.
Because it is a lot for some, especially if you're even like I'm pretty tech savvy, but it's not easy. I mean, people who are graphic designers and stuff like that who do this, it's easy
Yeah,
for.
I mean,
But even for me,
I know how to post an article, but trying to put a picture with it,
'Cause-
then I'm screwed.
Because yeah, like when you set up the website, you actually have to go and design where everything's gonna go, click like links to different pages, and so you have to like it's a lot.
All right, so I guess that's still in process. Then Art.
Well, I'm the least tech person in the room, Larry. And, but the town has a website, and they just went through and reconstituted it or whatever, what do you want to call it? Why can't why can't there be a page on there for housing, or pages, I don't know, whatever,
Yeah.
a section, whatever you want to call it? And just piggyback on there.
Now, does Sarah do that for the town? Does she run the website for the town? Like whoever,
Well,
somebody has to. Somebody
I
does
guess
that.
so. I mean, whenever IT comes up in the town, Sarah is named.
yeah,
So,
so someone would have
Yeah.
an administrative ability to
Exactly.
post
Yeah.
to the website.
Yeah.
right, and I mean, if we had one page on the town site that the trust and the committee and the housing authority could all point to.
And everything
Yeah.
housing, whatever, even if you got a crazy idea or a question, you could post it and ask for, try to get information off that.
So Larry, what do you think about, if I go talk to Brianna and Sarah about that and see if that wouldn't
Well,
be easier?
I think that's perfect. I think there's no, we don't want to reinvent anything, but, I think what we're looking for is a page to go with the housing in general, that we understand the best. Then our problem is what you've talked about, is that how do we get information into that
Right.
and keep it updated? Because assuming we can get a site, and I repeat myself a couple meetings ago, then my fear is that we don't keep it updated.
Right. Well, I don't have a fear about that, even if I have to spend 3 hours a day updating it. I mean, I've got Mark to show me how to do things.
You know that, right?
But because I think it's important. But
It is.
So all right. Well, I just want to get something up there,
Yeah. I mean,
and then we can worry about filling.
Exactly. Well, that's the first step. We've been talking about too long. This is something there.
Yeah.
And then we can
Yeah.
start feeding into it.
Okay. Sound good?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things,
Um,
yeah, we want to move ahead. That's-
And then the other thing, so you've got 2 RFPs now. One, the RFP from what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6.
Between us, I'll tell you Mark's on.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. And the holdup there is Joe's behind time. Joe Powers is late in getting back to us a land lease agreement, draft land lease agreement, and a financial update. We should have gotten that probably 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
And so that does concern me because we do have a deadline, but I'm not going to request a vote of the trust unless we have a chance to get that draft in time to study it, because that's an important draft. It's not only the technology part of that, it's, the schedules when we have to start, when they're going to stop, those types of things that we as a trust, I think, are obligated to weigh in on.
Right. Yeah, I'm not, because I'll be honest, I'm a little confused why this all ended up getting taken away from the trust.
Well, well, that's a good point. Because we go then, it was taken away because we've used Joe as a procurement officer, and then draft a land lease agreement and negotiate the draft with Penrose. So I don't have a problem with that too much because they don't, they're not the lawyers. We could do it, this is your point, we could ignore that, hire no lawyers, and I'm not sure if we would find anyone better. But now, and I'm not sure how we got so far behind, whether it's the town being slow to work with them or whether it's the KP Law being overstressed. I'm not happy about it.
No.
It's being come down to the wire.
Because the problem is, a developer like Penrose is only allowed to have 2 open projects at a time.
Yeah, okay.
So,
They have an open project with Orleans going on.
yeah, they've got Orleans. They're on tap for, I think they've been hired for one in Chatham.
2.
Right.
And 2 in,
I believe it's
I
2.
think maybe 2 in Chatham.
You got the Orleans.
So, it,
So I keep pressing to get that in, and I'm going to press, I'm going to send another one, because I want it on the agenda. So that's where that stands. We're ready to go. The other RFP we have out there is the rental assistance.
right,
And that's coming to a completion. In that case, I've gotten the agreement from the, Adley's homeless prevention
good.
group that Claudia did, and Brianna did a lot of work on that. A little more expensive, but they're very strong on the case management side, which everyone tells me is essential.
It is. That's everyone I've talked to in other towns who have a successful program say that's what's
Yeah.
needed.
So we're paying for it, but I think, and I have that agreement, which I've actually signed.
Oh, good.
And so I just got a couple emails today where we asked some questions about moving forward, how much was the maximum amount we would, we're saying we'd pay $500 per a month for a house,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to put a figure in an annual of, assuming 15, we assist 15 families, 500 plus the case study expense plus the administration comes up to about, I told them I was comfortable with a maximum of $7,500 that cost me. That follows what they gave me. Then the other question they had, we were just talking to Amy, the KP lawyer, is that we want a legal definition of a house or rental property. The conclusion that I got from Megan and from Amy was no, because we already have that. Has to pass building codes and health, board of health and stuff. So we don't need doesn't have to be defined any more than that.
Okay.
And that's fine with what other towns have done. So I think we're ready to go. I got lots of emails out there. We're just going to actually not put it up. Even though the request is for a maximum per year, they're going to take that out of it and keep a running total. See how we're doing.
Okay. That's good.
And we have 150,000 that we've committed to that program. I'm going to ask CPC for going down. My application to CPC this year is 500,000 for the normal
Right.
that they're generously giving us, and 250 for additional rental assistance.
Oh, great. So the 150 you've already agreed to give them
We
from
took that out of,
from your
we
money
took
you
that
have.
from CPC.
Yeah.
Because one or two of the ladies weren't comfortable until we had data on how many people would use it and something like that.
Right.
And so I was disappointed, but then I was thinking about it. So and I checked around, and there's no reason we couldn't spend the money we had for that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can spend the trust money on a lot of things.
Yeah. So we went back and said, okay, we got turned down, but we're not discouraged. We're going to take it out of the funds we have. And then presumably, we'll see. No one wants it, but I'm assuming there's a need out there.
Right.
We'll learn quickly, I think.
Okay. So one thing's done, that's awesome.
So that,
And
so
then,
that's the two RFPs, and then the other one we're working on is John Terry, of course. And
right,
and that's going on. We've approved those money, we've already given him half of the, we really asked for about 400,000. It's about $160,000 per product. And tell you the truth, I haven't kept up with that. He needed to he had to go through the building.
he got, I saw him a week ago, and he seemed, I think he finally got everything he needed. I think he had finally finished jumping through hoops.
Yeah, well, he was doing a lot of that, and and then we didn't have a building commissioner there for a time. But that's great. We've already okayed half of the funds we agreed to, so he's got the building permits in hand and that stuff. He might be building now, but he's pretty aggressive.
He's fab. Is there anything you want us to help you with right now?
Well, my bias, of course, is that we try to support Pine Oaks in some fashion. I'm assuming there'll be some changes on it.
Right. So I'm gonna, with the board's approval, tonight I was gonna see if we could write a letter of support to the select board and send it on to the state. Do you think in our letter we should mention the fact that they've already done an initial traffic study? Sorry, the lights just dimmed. Either that or I'm having a stroke.
Well, what I try to do again is I try to show that because I want to show effort. But
Right.
I do think it's appropriate to say that there's a lot of questions, and the town is doing other stuff. Yeah, they're spending money on their own study.
Right.
So more to come.
Right. I mean, the other thing I keep trying to explain to people is that there is a very local group opposed to this. But that's like 150 out of 12,000 residents of Harwich. And the people who need this housing can't show up at a meeting every time. You know, they're working nights, or they have childcare issues, or they don't have a home and they're in their car. You know, I mean, so I always like people to think. Right. It's usually the case in housing that it's the people who need it the most are the least likely to be able to attend a meeting about it.
I think probably the thing we can do most is, the next steps we both of our committees to provide a forum for the Pine Lake folks to present what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And we'll have to. Right now, it's just every time you mention it, you get the same 20 people. But maybe after the next step happens, whatever that may be, I think, and then we'll host a big meeting about it. But try to make it two-sided. I mean, not just have a public comment, not have it just be everybody getting up and saying what they want, but a presentation from them, we'll get...
Yeah, like Paul Dolan was great when he came in and gave his talk.
Right, yeah.
A few more folks like that have been around for a while.
And get the experts to talk about it and not just make it personal, you know.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
That's what we've got a lot of things going right now, but we're not taking up, right? I feel good that we are getting things done.
yes. Listen, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's if you're lucky. Somebody told me that about housing. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back if you're lucky. So, and hopefully by January, because it's supposed to come out December 15th, we're supposed to get all of the regulations and much more specificity about the Affordable Homes Act and the seasonal communities designation, and then we'll have a lot more tools to play with.
Yeah, that was actually a good meeting. I'm surprised. I hate to say this, I don't expect a lot from those things, but it was pretty good.
I know.
If they say they meet the end of the year deadline, it's regulation.
Yeah, most of the time those meetings are a lot of people sitting around saying, oh, we've got to fix this, and we have ideas, and then you go home. So, all right, Larry, anybody else have anything for Larry?
No,
That's
what
good.
you do, thank you.
All
care,
right.
Nick.
Thank you.
I'll get my regular computer fixed.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you
Good
for
night.
coming in.
Yeah.
So that should, we should do a letter of
Yeah.
support. I wanted to have a draft now, but
Well, just
just
scribble something together, send it out, we'll jump on it and send it back to you.
if we do it that way, we have to have a meeting for you to vote on my draft. So if you vote to allow me to
Oh, okay.
write the letter,
Okay. I'll make a motion
okay.
to have the chair, Elizabeth Harder, write a letter, and this is going to the,
Select board and there's a woman's name.
this is going to the,
It's,
this is going to the state of Massachusetts
Yes.
housing
Right.
people in support of the Pine Oaks 4 project
Okay.
on Queenie.
Thank you. Oh, second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in second? Aye.
Okay.
Okay. So I made a motion. And,
Good. So then, there was a housing production plan meeting. It was interesting. I think they're gonna approve it as
yeah.
is.
You know,
It's a plan.
it's a plan, it's a document, it's a decent document. It's like all documents, they got a good points, bad points, you know, and you could spend forever editing it, and that's not the mission here. We just,
Get it.
it's good.
Right, so,
Is it great? If it was great, it'd be, someone would be out there in the backyard building housing, but.
right, exactly. But let's say it's a good start. And, you know, since we haven't had one in, I don't know, 2016, 2006, I don't know.
Yeah,
It'll
Yeah.
be good.
16.
And the meeting was good because there were a lot of people there who knew what they were talking about. Part of it turned into the whole anti-Pine Oaks, but the people who were there to talk about other aspects of it was sort of heartening to me. Did you feel that about people who, you know, that the planning board seemed to be very supportive on the whole? And,
It was a good meeting, but like a lot of meetings, it kind of wandered. And, okay, and I would, I don't know, I probably won't happen, because you got to give everyone their voice. But, you know, we've heard about traffic, and we've heard about it, and we've heard about it. So, on future forums or, you know, I would think who's ever putting them together and going to be the person running the meeting is say, okay, all the people that are concerned about traffic, get together, pick a spokesperson, write out and have one traffic report. And those that are worried about the impact on schools, over here. Those that are impacted by the conservation, open lands, and wildlife there,
Yeah.
same way. Otherwise, you got 10 people saying basically the same thing. And it doesn't make it any more impactful
No.
or less.
And in fact,
I think it goes against after a while.
right, talking to, when Larry said he wanted us to, help Pine Oaks get the word out, I think, and then after the next step, but it should probably maybe wait until after the holidays, that we have a panel presentation. And we can have one person from the, they can pick someone they want to send as the
Right.
as the opposition, and then we have experts on what it means and how it works. And, if you have a question from the audience, put it on a postcard like they've been doing at the political forums.
But
So it's not just a string of 40 people getting up and saying traffic.
and you need, on the other side of the counter, the counterpoint. There's okay, we got, a blind man can see it's a traffic problem.
It's a traffic problem.
It's every road, half the roads on Cape Cod or either they are a traffic problem or they're right on the edge.
Yeah.
And of course, that Queen Anne section out there, true, it's a narrow road, and then it comes down to that crazy
Right.
intersection.
It needs to be fixed anyway, if
So, okay.
nothing was going to be
So
built there.
You need someone in your panel or going to get up and say, okay, true, it can, anything can be fixed. It hasn't gone over the dam yet, so we
Well, that's what I'm
can't
saying,
bring it back. And what would it look like for maybe a simple fix all the way to a full-blown fix?
Right, maybe I could get Steve Tapper from the Cape Cod Commission, who handles all
Yeah.
their traffic stuff, to explain what's possible.
And
But
what can
anyway.
be done, and who will be responsible for it, and who will pay for it, and the time frame, stuff like that. So it's,
All right. One of the other meetings I went to was Mass Housing Partnership, which is, I always get them confused. Is it Laura Schufelt or the
Laura
other one?
Schufelt.
There's also another one. Anyway, this 40B presentation was really fascinating if you really want to get into the weeds of 40B. So it is Laura Schufelt. Lovely handout. But it's really quite fascinating about what people can and can't
Right.
do, and some of it will change with the Affordable Homes Act. But to me, the most interesting thing, and you're more than welcome to borrow this, or I can make you copies if other one wants. The most interesting thing is Laura said that, when people do go to the state to protest a 40B, traffic has only worked once in the history of protesting 40Bs. Only once has the town said,
Because
oh,
it
it'll
can be
screw up
repaired.
traffic.
It can be fixed.
So,
And it's probably something that should have been refixed
Yeah.
before we got to this point of what we're gonna do with that land that abuts this,
right,
this old highway or side street or whatever.
right. They'll figure it out. But, so anyway, lots of information on 40Bs if anybody cares. And then, like Larry said, were you at the Housing Protect?
I
It was
wasn't, but
huge.
Richard filled me in on
So,
some stuff.
Yeah, it was actually, as Larry and I said, it was actually one of those meetings where you learned a thing, and they discussed concrete steps.
Right.
So it wasn't just, let's talk about how housing sucks. and here, have lunch. You know, I mean, I did feel like they got that things were accomplished. And then there's one of the things that that we want to do. Let me see if I can find the right page. Is we're going to want to. I mean, the town should. We should encourage. How do I phrase this nicely? We should encourage the town to put in town meeting a home rule petition for the transfer tax,
Oh,
because that did not get passed as part of the Affordable Homes Act, which in some ways makes sense to me. There are places where I don't think it would make sense, and it would only hurt people, but in seasonal communities like ours and the Berkshires, it would really help. So it was suggested that we recommend that to the town. What do you think? I mean, you're a realtor, so are you against it, or?
As in, so what specific? So basically, when you're selling, you'd have an extra tax that would go for what? Or
The transfer tax
Yep.
would go to, you could decide whether it would go to the Affordable Housing Trust, whether you'd put it, one of the things.
who decides the home?
I believe the voters.
Oh, the voters decide where
Would
that goes
decide.
now. So does it get? Do you think it
I
gets
mean-
increased, or is it just that's where they're putting? When you pay your transfer tax, that's where it's going to go now.
From what I understand, the flip tax, sorry, that's what we called it in
Yeah.
here. Can go to the Affordable Housing Trust, or if you have a attainable trust,
Where does it go now?
we don't have one now.
Really in Harwich?
we're collecting taxes, aren't we?
We don't have the extra, like,
Oh, yes.
you can put an extra percent
That's what I was wondering. Is
called a flip tax,
Okay.
right? And I think it's up to, I think it's only up to 2% tops, I think. Where, you know, you're selling the house is being sold for $1 million, $100,000 is after gonna go to wherever it's decided, let's say the Affordable Housing Trust.
Right.
And sellers don't like it because they say they're gonna make less on their house. Buyers don't like it because they say they're gonna have to pay more. Realtors don't like it because
I don't think
it
it affects
just cuts into the.
No, it won't affect the realtor. It's just like you're saying on the both sides. Buyers want how it's going to work is they're going to end up paying more for the house, and then or it could hurt a seller. Like if somebody's selling here, like a local family, to try to get something else,
Right.
and then they have to pay extra. I guess it depends on the.
The thing about the tax, and this is why I mean, this has been in New York City
Yeah.
forever. And it just is. You sell a co-op, and there's a flip tax that goes to the co-op. That's between the seller and the buyer how it gets paid. You know.
Yeah.
So usually people would split the difference, you know. But if someone really, I assume the seller would immediately ask for the whole.
2% is a lot.
Yeah, it may only be one. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't really know how much it is, to be honest, because we don't have one.
We just have a regular transfer tax. I think it's 6 something per thousand.
Yeah,
That's a state sales tax.
Yeah.
yeah. That's,
Okay.
and the registry.
So what we're advocating here is something
It's
above,
it's
above that.
above.
On housing that is above a certain plateau.
Right. I
Okay.
mean, it has to be. It's got to be $1 million or more.
Yeah. So there are towns either wrestling with this or already have wrestled with it on Cape Cod.
Provincetown has it. So does Nantucket.
I know they have, but
because
Chatham
they got the.
Chatham is wrestling with it.
Yeah, they got the home rule petition. And then, so anyway, think about whether you think we should come up with something, you know, we're gonna, once we see the end result of the Affordable Homes Act, I'd like us to put our thoughts together
Yeah.
and see if we can put together some,
So
You know.
is that document on the street yet, or in its entirety?
650 pages are on the website, baby.
It's on
Go
the
try to
website.
read it. They are, it is out there.
You've
Go
read
to
how many pages so
Go
far?
to ELOC. I've skimmed all of them, but I don't really. Some were like, yeah, I don't understand.
Well, yeah,
that.
a lot of it's,
But like I said, December 15th, they're supposed to have the specific. Sorry, I am allergic to everything.
so,
So
pardon me if
then,
I'm stepping out of bounds here, but wouldn't this be a nice project for the town advocate? To be the kind of guru that would
I-
digest this thing and,
I think honestly, with everything else she's getting slammed with, that might be a nice thing for us to do the preliminary work on. Tell her, hey, this looks cool, that. Give her a list of like the 10 biggest ideas, you know, that we can all discuss first and say, hey, what do you think if, do you think this would work for Harwich? And if we all go, yeah, no, probably not, then we can know Brianna doesn't have to waste her time with it. Or we could just sum things up and say, here are the things that most of the other towns are gonna be working on. You know,
we can put a summary together.
yeah. I mean, I
Just
think,
do that in
I
a working
think
session, and,
put a summary together and let everyone know. And then and I don't know, maybe both of you. I'd love for us to have a list of what other people, there's other stuff going on in Harwich. Is it affordable? Like, the yellow building.
the Royal,
The Royal.
the Royal conversion,
Is that
Bank Street, top of Bank
gonna
Street.
have affordable?
No.
Is it just private developer
We
now?
tried to get 1 or 2 units, and that just kind of, just got the nod and nodded off. So it's gonna be 20, this goes back a few years, it was gonna shape down to be 21 market rate apartments, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. And they gotta finish one of these days. Because I just live right around the corner from there, and the amount of trucks and people working on it. I mean, unless they're all sitting inside playing cards or something. But there's a lot of activity going on over there.
Right.
So it's gotta be coming down the home stretch.
Because even at some point, I think it would be helpful if we had a list of all the things like that that are going on. Because even if people say, you know, I need an apartment, we can say, well, the Royal is going to be online in a month or something. So if you see, like, if you know of something, or you know, you see something, like, let's try to keep a list. You know, I mean, the McMansions, we all know where those are going, and I don't think that's helpful at this time. But inclusionary zoning is one of the big things. I think that's number 1 in the housing production plan.
Is what, I'm sorry.
Inclusionary zoning.
Oh, yeah, inclusion.
And we'll see, you know, I mean, I have a feeling the select board would be more than willing to just take money and not make them build. I would rather have to make them build,
Well, yeah.
you know?
I mean,
But,
like a wise man once said, the easiest way to solve a problem is to write a check.
yeah. I mean, because we don't have land. That's the problem.
Well-
You know, if we had all the land in the world, I'd say, sure, give us money and we'll use it to build somewhere else. But we don't have land. So if they're gonna clear cut 4 acres, they should at least have to put up 1 or 2 affordable houses. But that's me being a communist, which I'm really not. But, I mean, you know, I look at Davenport, he runs them year round. That's all we can ask for. I don't want any, you know, nobody wants anybody to go broke or not make any money. But right now, the problem is year-round housing. I don't know, I'm babbling, stop me.
So Davenport is now the owner, according to the paper, of the Baptist Church
Yeah,
down on West Harwich. Going to turn that into apartments.
yeah.
Which that was, I don't know what happened with the other buyer, and no one will say.
I don't know.
So, and don't ask that question because you'll just get a,
I don't suppose we can ask Davenport to call John Kerry and ask him how to do it.
well, that would have been
He
a,
seems to be doing a really nice
well,
job.
he bought the land on the corner there, the 2 pieces of
Right.
property on the Depot Road and 28.
Yeah. And then you mentioned something in your email, Art, about the second story program.
Yeah,
What is that?
that was what you advocate. Apartments on the second story.
Is there a whole, is there a
Well,
program? That's what I'm trying to find out.
a 30 seconds, or maybe just maybe a minute and 30 seconds. Going back at least 20 years ago, in a predecessor of mine, the Housing Committee put together a program to convert space on a second story, above restaurants, above whatever was on the first floor, apartments on the second floor, if there weren't apartments there already. And most of it's just empty space, being used for storage or whatever. And the program included a incentive. Because if you're a property owner, you say, well, what's my, you know, why would I do it? You know, it's not gonna net me a lot, because it's gonna have to go at affordable rates. You're gonna have to get deed restriction, yada, 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 yada. So the incentive was actually a grant from the town. First of all, the grant would be to do a feasible study, because you gotta make sure your structure is strong enough to,
Right.
you know, to support apartments above. And maybe it's not, maybe you have to rebuild the whole structure, and that's off the, you know. So it allowed for a small grant to come up with a feasible study and some, layout sketches of what the apartments would be and how many apartments you could put in there and stuff like that. Just, you know, there wouldn't be architectural drawings, or you couldn't work to them, but it would be a conceptual. And then if you went through with it, if it got approved and you went through with it, the grant was forgiven. That was it. And I don't know if there was other incentives behind that. Now, if you're building affordable housing, there's a housing trust. You can come to the housing trust and say, I'm building 6 apartments above, on Main Street down here in Harwichport, above
Right.
a couple restaurants there or something.
Yeah, like,
And I need, you know,
I mean,
X number of dollars.
I can't believe the Patels did it all themselves. They're so impressive.
and
Anytime somebody says, we don't want, I'm like, go look at,
the beauty part about that is the
Yeah.
building's already there. So you can't argue against the building. It's already there.
Yeah.
The neighbors are already set. They've been
If
looking at this
anything-
building for,
if anything, I think they look prettier.
the only thing you can
now.
argue about is, well, I don't want those people living next door, and then you got to define who those people are, and then that cuts your legs off.
Yeah.
So that was 15 years ago. Did they pass it? Did
No,
anything
no.
happen with it? No.
I believe it went to town committee, a town meeting, and I believe it might have been actually voted on. But for whatever reason, it never got off the ground. It needed someone to be its mother.
Right.
And that would come under the preview of like the advocate.
Right.
They have the forms, they have applications, could do the education, and so on and so forth.
Well, Hyannis is
And CPC would have to, and that's where the
Right.
funds would basically come from,
Gotcha.
probably.
yeah.
And, or the town would have to allocate X number of funds each year to have, so, you know, say 3 people show up and say, well, hey, this looks good, I want my $5,000, whatever, it wouldn't be $5,000, it would be a lot more than that, probably.
Yeah.
But whatever the figure is, and say, okay, and you would have guidelines to go by and a time frame, and you couldn't just sit on this forever. You know, you get 6 months or whatever to come back with a plan. But, you know, you'd have to go out and hire an engineer to do the study. And so it'd basically be for an engineer and someone to put some sketches together.
We can, I'll see what they're doing in Hyannis, if they have a program.
I look at, I drive around town and I look at all these buildings, Shaw's. That whole top area.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I never thought about Shaw's or
They did it
Stop and
right
Shop.
across the street here now in what was
Yeah.
the Harwich Market.
Mhm.
Now that was built with trusses. So there's a way to cut the trusses out and reinforce them
Yeah.
and make the structure, you know, safe and secure. And so that owner, he put a couple, 2, 3 apartments in there. Made a beautiful
Hotels, I think
entryway
they
to
have
front.
a total of 6.
He's done a lot of work, and
Yeah.
he's done it beautifully.
Yep. Which leads me, sort of, in a roundabout way. So we have the, shy list, which apparently is like repetitive. It should be just the shy, but always gonna call it the shy list. Whatever. There are, somebody mentioned the other day, which is something I'm embarrassed I didn't think of because I'm doing it, which is I rent my house out. I rent my second house out year round to a single mom, 2 kids, way below market rate. Shouldn't that count?
Mhm.
There are other people, I think, that are doing that. Shouldn't that count?
Well,
Wouldn't that help? I mean, even if it's just 1 unit, it
Hack had a similar project going back, this is before the pandemic, that they rolled out, they had a full-blown, and they were advocating people that had, like your situation, an extra piece of property, and Hack would help them, put all the documents together, whatever you need to rent it properly and rent it out. And maybe help you, I don't know if there was gonna be any monetary involvement in there. No, you were gonna get the grant for the proceeds. But there's, if you never rented out a piece of property before, there's something to do.
Right.
You gotta get it permitted, you gotta get this done, so maybe I think Hack would help you out with that and stuff like that. And kind of walk you through the process so you can do it. And I think unfortunately it didn't really go very far because I didn't hear much about it. A year or 2 later, they weren't even talking about it.
I don't have a permit. Should I be saying this on a recording? Nobody's told me. I've asked. Apparently I don't have to have a permit.
So, I mean, there's a lot of properties out there that people own and it's just sitting there
Right.
idle.
Well, that's one of the things on the, hopefully the Affordable Homes Act and all gives more incentives that we can use to get people to, hopefully you combine a big enough, tax break with, higher penalties if you rent as an, Airbnb and make it more feasible for people to rent year round.
I think it needs to be a forward-leaning project. I mean, you need someone to actually feet on the ground, knocking on doors and say, Mr. Homeowner, Mrs. Homeowner, or whatever, we have this program here, we like to describe it to you, and we understand you own a house across the street that's been empty for whatever. I look out my front door and I see 2 houses across the street from me that have been empty since I was in Harwich, 20 years now. Empty. They're maintained. They get painted, the roof puts on. Once in a blue moon, someone shows up and spends a weekend there. And one of the houses, the guy lives in town, and he was his mother's house, and he's out there working on it almost all the time. His last year, a couple of years ago, he put new siding on it, put new windows in it. So they're not derelict houses ready to fall down. And for whatever reason, they're holding on to it. Well, obviously, you're holding on for an investment. So, and a lot of people need to be asked. They'll see a good program, and I don't know, but someone come along and say, let's talk the numbers. You could be renting this out for X number of dollars. You still own it. You still got your investment.
That's right. You really need somebody
We'll help you with the process.
Yeah.
Well, Falmouth is doing an interesting thing. They've started buying houses. They'll buy a house for $500,000 and then sell it to a family for $300,000 with deed restrictions and all that. I mean, it's an initial outlay that, you're putting out, say, $500,000, but you're getting back $3, so you're putting out $200,000,
that's the definition of the buy-down program.
Yeah, and they're thinking it's working, but it's short. Miss Ella, you've heard us ramble. Are you still there? Are you asleep? Are you on your 4th glass of wine?
I'm still here. I'm not asleep yet.
Because I was going to talk about your 365. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So CDP has community organizers, and our primary job is to track policy as it develops across a town, which is why I am often lurking in your meetings, just listening and taking notes about what you guys are up to. And my other role is to get people impacted by the housing crisis in front of those boards and committees or the select board, giving public comment at times in which their comment can be influential to these decisions being made. So we've launched formal organizing efforts in Eastham and Truro last year because both of those towns had big opportunities and known advocates. Truro obviously had that whole kerfuffle with the Walsh property and the second homeowners changing their voter registration. So we helped people who were already active organize a letters to the editor campaign. We had 6 things published in Independent. And then Eastham, we were focusing on the zoning changes that were slated for Springtown meeting that got tabled to this Springtown meeting. But we ended up doing town meeting education with our activists and had somebody speak to applause, which was really exciting. The next towns we're looking at are Orleans and Harwich. So I am in the process of sitting down with Harwich residents who have been recommended to me by CDP employees or friends of the organization, asking them if they'd be interested in getting involved. Basically, we let the residents steer the course that we set. Affordable housing is the easiest topic, but we want to support the residents in supporting whatever helps create a thriving year-round community. So yeah, as always, if you have names of people you think might be interested, send them my way. We're meant not to be an arm of a board or committee, but to be like a source of applying pressure from the outside.
Excellent. And so, I mean, with your knowledge, you'll help us figure out what to do. like what? I mean, CDP will know what we want to put before town meeting and things like that, right? The zoning changes and
Yeah, and so those are, I mean, that's something that I'm going to direct you to Amanda Beverin for. But
Right.
for example, if you're having a public forum, right, we have these, say we have these zoning changes coming down the line, they're going to end up on the warrant, and there is a public forum about those zoning changes for, to get more information. That's where I can come in as a community organizer and email my list of advocates and say, hey, everyone, there's an opportunity to learn more about the zoning that the zoning task force is pushing in conjunction with the housing trust, and ask questions, but also show support for that. As you guys have mentioned multiple times tonight, the opposition is very loud, but there are less of them.
Right.
So part of this is just getting people who are in favor of these things in the room, lending their voices to the cause.
Terrific. What can we help you with?
Right now, on the top of my head, nothing. I'm in the process of having final meetings with people, and then I'm going to try and get a group meeting together with all of my potential advocates by mid-November. But anytime there's an opportunity, like if there's an opportunity to get people to give public comment, send it my way. If there's a forum for people to attend, I usually monitor board and committee agendas, but if you know in advance that like 2 weeks from now, the select board is going to be taking comments on XYZ, and that's a place where we can push, that advanced inside knowledge is certainly always helpful.
Okay, and you know about our housing fair in November, right?
Yes, I know about the housing fair in November, and CBP will have a table there.
Yay.
Yes, and hopefully we will have some collateral, we'll have some postcards and information about our organizing project 365 on that table. If you guys want to grab some, hand them out to friends and allies.
Terrific. Anything else you feel like, any wisdom you feel like imparting?
This evening, no, you guys have a lot going on. There's so much going on in Harwich right now. Off the top of my head, I don't have any wisdom besides keep up the good work.
Okay. Did it sound like I got anything hideously wrong?
No, I did not notice anything. No. I think you're
Okay.
fine.
All right, good. Then I'm gonna wrap this up so
Great.
you can, go get some sleep or watch the ball game, whichever. But thank you for attending.
Thank you for having me.
And then I'm just gonna, you've got the housing, Brianna's having her housing fair in November. I'm not sure.
This is our last, so we don't have a meeting between now and then.
Right. So,
So we got to take advantage of the next 30 seconds. And what's our participation here?
well, that's what I wanted to ask. I mean, it's really for, she really wants it to be like information for people about what's available right now. Which
Right now is,
we don't really have anything, but I think it would be helpful if we felt like being there. I don't see any need for us to have a table here. But I think it would be helpful. I mean, I'm certainly gonna go,
yeah, I'll be there.
and talk to people, see what they're interested in, see what the people who are having tables, see what they're selling. And, and just try to be helpful. But in terms of having an actual official housing committee table, I don't think that would be, I'm not sure that would be, I can't see how
Okay.
we'd be that helpful.
So let me vent for 30 seconds
Okay.
here. One of the things I was advocating, but it didn't go very far. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, what's available now, well, that's pretty slim pickings. What's available tomorrow, that's a different story. We should be talking about tomorrow, because today is gone. And tomorrow is the Royal, John Kerry, Davenport, Pine Oaks 4, 5, 6 project. There should be at least a flyer or something out there that said, okay, don't all run off the Cape just yet because the cavalry's coming, but they got to round up their horses and get settled. It's going to happen, and at least let people know that there's something actually happening. Just a quick fact sheet of what the trust is doing, and with basically I would call shovels in the ground. The Royal is a shovel in the ground. Carrie's a shovel in the ground. Some of these other ones aren't shovels in the ground yet. And there might be a few other ones out there that I don't know that's kind of percolating. You never know everything, that's for sure.
Right.
And along with that, too often I go to these things and there's no sign-up sheet for, get someone's name and email address, and are you for or are, what's your thought on housing? Even if you're death against it, sign up and come to the meeting, because I want to hear why you're against housing. Because we can't have everybody that has the same voice in the same room. It's the American way, and it's the way things should be. You want to hear what the guy that's against it, why is he against it?
Well, I don't think anyone coming to this is going to be
that's for sure. But we should have, bare minimum, a table with a little something or other,
Right.
and a sign-up sheet, say, and
Their reason
and
for
can
being
we
there,
contact you,
Do they need a home? Do they have a home? They'd be
but-
willing
but,
to put an ADU.
prior- prior to a meeting that housing's going to be talked about. And, okay, you don't even have to say anything, just be in the room. Just the fact that you've got over in this corner, these 50 people over here
Yeah.
are for housing. They don't all have to talk. Don't you're going to put a microphone in your face and say, oh, you've got to give a speech. No, you don't have to. Just the fact that you're there sends a message. Sends a message to the town hall. Because the message I'm getting from the town hall is, not everyone's on the side of housing. Now, they'll put me up against a corner, and tell me, Art, you're wrong. But I've been in the game too long to know that I don't think I'm totally wrong. They're not against it. They're not, I shouldn't say that, they're not for it, but they're kind of, you can play it any way you want to play it. Anyways,
Well, then why don't you?
I'll be
Great
there.
idea,
I'll be
Art.
there with
Are
my,
you volunteering?
I'll be there, and I'll have my I don't have any with me. I got business cards I pass out. Housing, and I got my,
Yeah, why don't you collect a list and I'll help you and I'll print them if you come up with, a list of like what's going on.
just a straight,
Yeah, there should be that there, I would think.
Nothing real deep. I don't know. I don't know how
Yeah.
much the Royal's going to rent for. What the any of that
just-
stuff.
yeah.
Outside
Right.
the apartment. But there's going to be 21 units available fairly shortly. I mean, I would see by spring of 25 we're going to be ready for occupancy. I would think.
And market rate for, a single person sucks. But if you've got two working people, market rate is sort of doable on the lower end,
Well,
I mean, it's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it that way.
every unit you build solves the problem.
All right, well then I'm putting that on you. You want to do it? You're doing it.
Yeah.
So Art is now in charge of the housing fair. Yay. Or our participation at the housing fair, I should say. And then the other things, just to let you know, the Lower Cape, CDP is doing their next workshop Thursday, November 14th during the day this time, from 12 to 1:30. It's a Zoom. And I will forward this to you, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. And Laura Schufeld is going to be there, one of the speakers. So that's going to be rather timely, considering our conversation with Larry about best practices in RFPs and working with developers. So here, I'll give you that because I know you.
Okay.
And then the other thing, I have a feeling I'm the only one that gets into the weeds enough that wants to go to Chapa. Chapa is having three-part conference, tools for increasing housing production in your community. It's all virtual. I may or may not go. Well, this is really helpful, people. Oh, here it is, from 3 to 4:45 on Wednesdays. So, anyway, if anybody's really interested in what Chapa is doing, let me know. Otherwise, anybody, Matt, anything you want to say?
No, I just really think like just kind of like a wrap up. Like, yeah, for the website, get that going. Like, I feel like we can find someone to really do it if they have money and they want to pay for it, get it taken care of, just so we can get it going. And then I like your idea for the housing fair, just a general list so people can see like there's stuff that's being worked on,
Yeah,
just so people know.
Well, it's not a wasteland here.
Exactly.
We're doing stuff.
All right, so anything we think of, shall we send to you, or do you want to send it to me to print it up?
Let me see what I get together first of all.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think of anything?
So
No.
what does the town put together as far as printing? I mean, like,
I'll print it, I have a printer. I just figure it's easier not to, what does it cost me? $5 in ink if I print 50 copies off at my house. So.
one little thing I've been trying to resurrect in my off hours is the we have a map. I think I brought this up before of where all the housing is. And this came up at the Harwich production. It didn't come up per se,
Right.
but the idea was brought up when in the housing production plan, and then it was going fine until it all focused on Pine Oak 4 and on Queen Anne, and the thought that the attitude there is that people that live in North Harwich, I have a hard time saying it. Whatever Harwich doesn't want, they throw it in North Harwich. They dump it in North Harwich. Well,
I understand that feeling, but that's where the land is.
yeah, but most people when they moved there, the landfill was already there, and I hate to point that out to you, but it was there, and that's where I don't know the actual percentage, but I think it's probably 80-90% of the commercial real estate is. So
Yeah.
all the landscapers and a lot of contractors and stuff are going to have their warehouses there
Yeah.
because you can't build a commercial building on Bank Street
Right.
or Harwichport. You have to build it in commercial zone, and so
And you
There
can,
it is.
you can
I-
add, you can rezone commercial to allow housing, but you can't rezone residential
No.
to allow commercial.
So-
And,
So we have this map that the housing committee way back when put it together. And it's an outline of Harwich, but it's all the streets on it, and it shows where all the housing is. So it's not all concentrated in one little.
it shows
nugget.
where all the affordable, capital A
All
affordable.
affordable housing is.
Well, where is said map?
Well, it's a semi mystery. It's it's lost in the bowels of the town hall here. So so Elaine Shovelin, she was the last person who saw it last May.
Oh.
And she actually called me and told me I'd seen it. And so I says, good. I says, don't let it go. And in fact, I came over and she showed it to me, and it was in the closet in the back of the big conference room, meeting room here at one time, and it wasn't there the other day when I went to look for it. So Elaine took a picture of it. She was
Oh,
trying
good.
to take a picture of it. And so I got a hold of Christine Flynn, planning person,
Right.
and she was very cooperative and she was very nice. And I told her what I was looking for, and she said, no, she doesn't remember seeing anything like that. Planning department, yeah, why would you have a map? You know, anyway, no, I didn't go there.
Right. No, I mean,
wanted to,
but why would she if it's apparently was never with the planning department, so, well, I'll see if I can get
So
that.
I called her a couple of times to see if she, because she said, well, give me a nomenclature or some identifying number on the plan, I can look at that. Well, there is not. It wasn't done by Joe Dokes, the designer, or anything
Right.
like that. It was just done by the housing committee, and just it's got affordable housing, Harwich affordable housing map across the top. That's all.
Well, you said Elaine has a picture of it, right? So maybe,
So I want to resurrect it, and every time that there's another seance of housing or whatever, had that sitting in the corner, and it's a great talking point. You show people, okay, everyone said, well, you put all the housing on my street. I want to show you something.
Right.
I'll show you where the housing is. You know, in
Bank
some
Street.
cases, yeah, all the housing is.
but that's where the land is. I'm sorry.
You know,
I'd love to put,
Yeah.
I would love to have, a nice 4-story, I mean, or 3, how tall is,
and
what's the expensive place opposite opposite Embers? Rose,
Melrose.
Melrose.
Oh, Melrose.
What's that, 2 stories or 3?
2.
2.
Two.
We need 4 more of those in Harwich Port.
Yeah,
But
good.
there's no place to put 2 more, maybe. All right, so you look for the map, or
I'll look for the
I'll
map, and then-
call,
and then-
see if Elaine can send it to me. Someone move the meeting to be adjourned.
Also move.
Second.
All in favor?
favor.
Aye. Hey, stop the work.
So, I'll, like on the